was 26 when this happened, and it was my first time ever going to Coachella. My friend Alyssa and I had talked about going for years, but either money got in the way or one of us couldn't get time off work. That year, everything finally lined up, so we actually committed to it. We flew out to California, rented a little 2-bedroom Airbnb, and made a whole trip out of it. We were both really excited because neither of us had ever been to a festival that big before. We had both been to smaller concerts and local events, but nothing on that level. The whole first day honestly felt like stepping into another world. Everywhere you looked, there were huge crowds, weird outfits, music coming from different directions, and people acting like they had no responsibilities at all. The best way to put it, it was like a fairy tale world. It was overwhelming at first, but in a good way. We had a really good first 2 days. Nothing bad happened. We saw a bunch of artists we liked, took pictures everywhere, ate overpriced food, and stayed out late. We were exhausted by the end of each night, but it was worth it. By the third day, we were completely drained, but it was that kind of exhaustion where you push through because it's the last day and you don't want to waste it. Before the trip, Alyssa had brought up the idea of bringing Molly. I had only done it one other time years before, and it had been fine, so I agreed. We kept saying we'd save it for the last day, and that's exactly what we did. Looking back, I wish more than anything I had never touched it. We took it in the late afternoon before one of the sets we were really excited for. At first, I didn't feel much. We were walking around, trying to get closer to one of the stages, and I remember telling Alyssa I thought maybe it was weak or old because it wasn't hitting me. She said the same thing. For a while, everything seemed normal. Then, out of nowhere, it hit hard. At first, I actually liked it. I felt lighter, more social, and everything around me seemed brighter and more exciting. The music sounded amazing. I remember thinking I understood why people did it at festivals. But after maybe an hour, something started bothering me. I kept noticing the same person. At first, I thought I was imagining it. There were thousands of people there. So of course, you are going to notice the same outfit or face more than once. But this wasn't like that. It was the same actual guy. The first time I really noticed him, he was about 20 feet away in the crowd. He looked older than most people there, maybe around 35. He had dark hair, scruffy facial hair, and was wearing a black shirt and boots, which already made him stand out because most people were dressed in lighter, more colorful outfits. He wasn't doing anything crazy. He was just standing there, looking in our direction. I didn't let it bother me at first. But then I saw him again near a drink stand. Then again when we were moving between stages. Then again when Alyssa and I were standing off to the side near a fence, trying to decide where to go next. After the 4th or 5th time, I told Alyssa I kept seeing the same guy everywhere. She laughed immediately and said it was probably just the Molly, and that I was focusing too hard on random people. I laughed too because I didn't want to sound paranoid, but it was getting harder to brush off. It wasn't like I was just noticing him occasionally. It felt like every time I turned around, he was there, not right next to me, but always somewhere in view. Hours went by like that. The high started feeling wrong. It stopped being warm and fun, and turned into this restless, overstimulated feeling. My jaw tensed, my heart raced, and I couldn't relax. At one point, while we were packed into a crowd waiting for another set, the guy finally came right up to me. It happened so suddenly that I froze. He came up beside me, smiling, trying to dance like a friendly festival guy. Then he leaned in and started talking, flirting. I could barely hear him over the music, but I remember him saying I looked really good and asking if I was there with anyone. I told him I was with my friend and tried to be polite. I smiled, shook my head, and said I was good, but he didn't leave. He kept hovering, not aggressive, but pushy enough to make me uncomfortable. I turned to grab Alyssa so we could move away, and that's when I realized she wasn't there anymore. I started spinning around, looking for her, thinking she had just moved a few feet away, but I couldn't see her anywhere. That made me panic instantly. The guy noticed and asked if I lost my friend. I said yes. He said he could help me find her. Something about the way he said it felt wrong, too eager. I told him no and pushed my way out of the crowd. He didn't follow me, but I could feel him watching me leave. I found a quieter patch of grass and sat down because I felt like my body was shutting down. My vision got strange. Everything looked squiggly, not blurry, but like nothing stayed still. I knew something was wrong. I called Alyssa over and over. The calls kept failing. Finally, one went through. I told her where I was and begged her to come get me. It felt like forever, but it was probably about 15 minutes before she found me. We left the festival early. Back at the Airbnb, I was completely drained. I went straight to bed. I was still high, but too exhausted to care. At some point, I woke up. I don't know why. But when I looked at the doorway, there was someone standing there. A tall figure, completely still. At first, I thought it was Alyssa, but then I saw the face. It was him, the man from the festival. I know how insane that sounds, but that's what I saw. I started screaming, full panic, pulling the covers over my head. Alyssa came running in and turned on the light. No one was there. I told her everything, shaking and crying. She said it had to be the drugs. I wanted to believe that, but it felt too real. The next morning, Alyssa woke me up screaming. There were muddy boot prints on the floor. They started at the front of the house, went down the hallway, and stopped exactly at my bedroom doorway. Then they turned around and went back out. Someone had been inside. We packed immediately and left. Nothing was stolen, which somehow made it worse. To this day, I don't know how he found us, or if it was even him. But I know what I saw, and I've never touched Molly again.